Blessed new moon, blessed new moon. If you are new to this page, welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Lula Kelly. This was Lula's Labyrinth for a long time, and then Spirit had me change it to the Panda Tribe. I am a spiritual light worker. I am a spiritual being having a human experience just like you are. And my job here on earth is to communicate information from all different realms to those who are here still on earth through this massive, awesome transition. So today, it's going to be a lot of different things. This is a Panda Tribe reading. I'm not sure if it'll turn into multiple readings or what will happen. If so, I always say to people, check the description below anyway, because I always have tons of stuff down there. There's going to be some links for sure, because I did a meditation this morning that was really powerful. Actually, two of them, and one of them was really cool, and it was called Modern Shamans. And I did that one first, and it's not very long. But it was really interesting to me because I've been questioning a lot of things about myself and my path. And normally when I do a meditation, even if it's 10 minutes long, I don't look at it. I don't look at the, YouTube. I don't look at the screen. I just listen. But this one was different. I was just listening, and then I was called to look at it. And I was called to open my eyes and then close my eyes and then open my eyes and close my eyes. And it was like all these answers that I wanted. It's like I'd open my eyes and the answer was there. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. It was awesome. And I just felt this really divine connection there to Spirit with that today. So I definitely want to put that below. But it gave me this really awesome download for our topic today. So even though we are here celebrating the full moon, the Sturgeon Moon, today is August 2nd, 2020. These are always timeless, so whenever you watch it, you're not missing anything. You're watching it exactly when you're meant to. As Gandalf always says, a wizard arrives exactly when he's meant to. Or I should say Tolkien, really. But it's true, right? So you'll see it, you'll watch it exactly when you're meant to. The messages will be downloaded when you're ready to receive them. So for the rest of us, we're about less than 24 hours away from the peak of the full moon on August 3rd, 2020. But for right now, tonight will be where the moon will be. Tonight and tomorrow will be the nights where the moon will be the biggest. And a lot of different cultures call the moons different things, but this is the Sturgeon Moon in the Native American culture. And a lot of you know, as I'm wearing my medicine bag that was given to me by my Cherokee sister shaman, who molded me, changed me, and helped me become the shaman that I am today. And it's just languaging, they're just words. Shaman just means teacher. So, it's really whatever resonates with you. But the Sturgeon Moon was really interesting to me today because our topic was that I got from the first meditation is mindful madness. I kept hearing that from Spirit because when I was watching it, and if you watch it, you'll see too, there's so much happening during this meditation. And there's all these different shamans from all over the world. And, it's like these, you just have to watch it. It's very psychedelic. If you partake in cannabis or shrooms or any type of psychedelic, I highly recommend you do that first because it was really cool. But also remember that it's only 10 minutes long. So you may want to line yourself up to watch something after that as well. Or maybe you just want to stop it after that or hit replay over and over, whatever you want to do. But it was really wild. I, had some of my white buffalo cannabis before I did it this morning. Spirit called me to do that. And I just so many downloads were happening. And I said to Spirit while I was watching it, I was like, wow, this is crazy. Almost felt crazy watching it. And they're like, yes. But they're like, we want you to be the observer. And that was the second part they said was be the observer. Which, by the way, my phone keeps resetting itself, which really upsets me because obviously there must be something in the matrix or there's something with the company that does it, because I set it to have the screen stay open for 10 minutes just so that way I can, I've never changed it back and it keeps changing itself. So it's kind of weird. So I'm going to go to that really quickly. I apologize. I wouldn't have to do that. Yeah, it's saying 30 seconds. Nope, sorry. Okay. So the mindful madness and being the observer. And what Spirit was saying is that right now we have to be mindful in the madness, because everything that's happening on the planet, it's put there to divert us from our path. We're, they want to keep us down. They want to keep us controlled. They want to continue, both sides, by the way. This isn't a Republican or Democrat thing. This is a world thing. This is a global domination thing. This is a darkness that's been thriving on this planet for many, many centuries. And, once each continent started going to other continents, it's like they would study and find out their strengths, their weaknesses, so that they can attack them. We've been stealing from each other for centuries. White people have been slaves too, by the way, which is why I believe the KKK and people like that, I believe that that's why that they have this programming to hate people of color, because it was actually there was actually a time where it was more the white man was the slave. And so I believe that they're having some type of ancestral thing going on there. But nobody's right and nobody's wrong right now. And this is a really interesting time for all of us, because it seemed like just when we were getting our bearings of, equality, we are faced with, the pushback of how many energies and entities on this planet don't want equality. They like it just the way it is. They like to control just the way they are. Sorry, I need to put that back. When something's in my eye line, I have a hard time seeing past it. It's I'm so sensitive to everything, right? Are you like that too, empaths? So anyway, you hear what I'm saying? So we need to be the observer right now, not just jumping in and, for some of you, it may feel natural to jump in and just go with the, flow of what's happening on the planet and, be that person. But for some of you, I'm not feeling that that's good for you. And it's time I'm getting from spirit, it's time for you to step back and do what you came here to do and stop obsessing about things that have nothing to do with you. So we'll get into all that too. But I thought it was really interesting that Spirit said to be the observer in the mindful madness. And then for some reason, Spirit called me to look up the Sturgeon Moon. And I was like, okay, whatever. You know me, I'm always whatever you tell me to do. So I'm going to read this to you, which, by the way, it's also called the Blueberry Moon. And this morning I was called to eat the rest of my blueberries. And I didn't even put it together until I was looking at this. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. It is the Blueberry Moon. I've heard different names, but there's so many different names for each moon it's hard. Sometimes I'll be like, is it that one? Is it that one? So anyway, so under this, it says August full moon was traditionally called the Sturgeon Moon because the giant sturgeon of the Great Lakes and Lake Champlain were most readily caught during this part of summer. And I'm from the Midwest. I'm from Illinois. So, to me, I was like, oh, that's really interesting, because the Great Lakes are by where I grew up. And I still do have family, bone and blood family, all throughout Illinois, Indiana, and Michigan. So it's kind of interesting how that works. Okay, so other names for this full moon include full green corn moon, signaling that the corn was nearly ready for harvest. And yesterday was August 1st is the first day of harvest, when we're bringing in the first crop, so to speak. So very interesting. Wheat cut moon, moon when all things ripen, and blueberry moon. The tradition of naming moons is rich in history. Here at the Old Farmer's Almanac, I was going to say there'll be a link below, but there you go, perfect. We have long honored the Native American moon names and the folklore of those who came before us. We follow the full moon names that were used during Native American and colonial times to help track the seasons, usually by the Algonquin people who were prominent along the Atlantic coast and into the interior along the St. Lawrence River and around the Great Lakes. What is a sturgeon? These prehistoric-looking fish have been traced back to around 136 million years ago, and many people call them living fossils. Females require around 20 years to start reproducing, and they can only reproduce every 4 years. However, they can live up to 150 years. A fish! I had no idea. I'm fascinated by this. Today, there are about 29 species worldwide, including the Lake Sturgeon found in the Great Lakes. They have evolved in size from the size of a bass to monster sturgeon as big as a Volkswagen. The Lake Sturgeon is quite rare today due to intense overfishing in the 19th century, pollution, and damage to their habitat. The word sturgeon means the stirrer. And that was the part that really got me, right? Because mindful madness, people are stirring the pot. It's when you hear that term, don't go stirring the pot, meaning sometimes it's, you know, you need to let something cook. You need to let it simmer. You need to let it be what it is. If you keep going in and stirring it, it's not going to be able, you know, like say you need to keep the lid on, right? Because you need the steam. If you keep taking the lid off, well, then you're taking the steam away. And if you don't leave it to go consistently, then it's not going to cook thoroughly, right? Or it's going to cook, but it's going to stop and cook and stop and cook. And a lot of things, like say rice, for instance, you know, that's how it gets over mushy, right? If you overwatch something, if you're over controlling, trying to like, is it done yet? Is it done yet? Is it done yet? Right? So that's really, really interesting. So I feel like when they were saying stir, it's like, you know, don't stir the pot. And that's when people say, you know, don't stir the pot because you're going to cause, you know, whatever. And it's like, I think that's where we are right now. And us as light workers, we're being challenged to stand back and be the observer, to just let people, you know, we're not going to stir the pot. We're just going to stand back and watch and allow people to do what they're going to do. But what we're going to do in the meantime is work on ourselves, deal with our like local people, you know, putting our energy, you know, we're all energy, right? Everything's energy. So if we keep putting our energy out into the universe, but it's not a reciprocal energy, then all it's doing is draining us. Like say you're, you know, the Chicken Little, the sky is falling, and you're constantly looking at the news, or you're constantly on like, you know, boards or whatever, on Facebook or Instagram or something, and you're commenting, and then you're having feeds with people that maybe aren't really good for your mental health or your spiritual health. That's not where you belong. You know, I know for myself, I just spoke about this on my personal Instagram page, but recently I've been having so many things that have been happening to me, things that have been happening that have forced me, did you notice that? I love it, that have forced me to go inward, to the point where, that's why you guys, you've noticed I haven't had a lot of new things or a lot of new readings or things like that. It's because I needed to go inward. I needed to work on my own stuff. And whenever I think I know more, or my ego tells me that I don't need this or I don't need that, like I don't need meditation, or I don't need, it's, you know, I notice if I go one day without meditating or doing spirit work, I really feel it. I feel a disconnect. I start to feel homesick, these kind of things where I'm like, I don't really feel these things anymore, because they're not really mine, right? They're like these things that are temporary, and I'm latching on to temporary emotions. That's kind of like what things have been feeling like for me lately, like these kind of temporary emotions. It's so interesting. I forget that the sun comes in there this time of day, and I was just like, where's that? I was like trying to figure out where that was coming from. I'm like, oh yeah, the kitchen window. Anyway, you see where I'm going with this, right? So I think it's really interesting that we're on the Sturgeon Moon, and Sturgeon means the stirrer. And I asked Spirit what messages to bring forward today. And here we are talking about the mindful madness, talking about being the observer and staying away, you know, letting other people cook their own food. They want to stir it. They want to keep, you know, fucking up their stuff. That's fine. And again, that's their chaos. Everybody's on a different journey. It's not bad or good. It's just, you know, Spirit is saying to us as light workers, like, to retract now. Like August is a month for a lot of us that's going to be a lot of abundance. A lot of really good things are going to be happening for us this month. But it's all in the way you look at it. It's all in the way you perceive it. So they're asking me to finish reading this. Okay. Oh, did I finish it? There was something else. They're saying there's something else. Oh, the word sturgeon means the stirrer, which is what this giant fish does when it is looking for food. It stirs up the mud and silt on river and lake bottoms. Notice the pointed snout and whisker-like tactile organs near the mouth. I'm going to see if I can get a better picture of this for you guys. So here is the sturgeon. I mean, as big as a Volkswagen. Now they said Volkswagen, and of course I'm like, okay, Volkswagen, but is it like the car, like the four-door sedan, or is it like, you know, the I almost said camper. Oh, but yeah, that's what I was saying, like a Volkswagen, like a van, you know, because I'm like, that's a big fucking fish. Anyway, so yeah, so that's like a really interesting thing that Spirit brought up. And then there was something else. Let's see, what else? There was something else they wanted me to read. Oh, and then we're going to talk about what is about to happen. Look at this beautiful imagery. Okay, and I'll put the links below. This is from starchildglobal.com. I was really drawn to this page, and I'm so glad now, because look at this. So, like I said, these are timeless, but today is August 2nd, 2020, which is also the number 14, which comes to the number 5, which is about change and instability and all that. This whole week around this moon is going to be really emotional. We just, this coming Saturday, so today's Sunday, the 2nd, but this coming Saturday, 8/8, is the Lionsgate portal. And Spirit asked me to read this whole thing, so I'm going to read this whole thing to you guys, and I'll put the link below as well. But it was interesting to me because I wasn't aware of the things that were happening in July that they're going to speak of. But when I went back and looked at it, I was like, oh, how cool. Because July 26th, last Sunday, I had a powerful reading with another amazing, gifted witch, healer, whatever languaging they want to put on themselves or labels. But just really, really powerful. And I was like, and that whole day it felt powerful, and that whole weekend felt really powerful. So it's interesting to me. So look back and be like, where was I, on the 26th on Sunday? Anyway, okay, so here it is. I'm going to read this to you guys. Okay, and this is a message from Archangel Michael. So this is obviously somebody who channels. It says Archangel Michael through Celia Fenn. And this was recorded on July 19th, 2020. Beloved ones, once again, it is the time of the Lion's Gate and the planetary new year. Another diamond spiral of time is being birthed through the Leo gateway of the 8/8. The royal lion guardians of yesterday and tomorrow stand posted at the gateway, ready to admit those who are balanced in their hearts to this sacred spiral of masterful co-creation on planet Earth. This begins on the 22nd July when the sun moves into the constellation of Leo and then gathers momentum through the day out of time, quote unquote, on the 25th July and the planetary new year on the 26th July. How do I not know this of all these years? I felt like inept, honestly. I felt like such a novice. This is when the royal lions of Regulus and Sirius assist in the birthing of a new timeline, or more correctly, a new time spiral for the new Earth. Time is a diamantine spiral of creative power that allows beings of light and spirit to manifest and create in a material or physical setting. It is the creative energy of the original desire for knowledge and experience that initiated the dawn of creation and which continues to power the ongoing ascension/creation process. In recent years, the Lion's Gate has been relatively powerful, with full moons and eclipses falling within the gateway period. This year, it is quiet, for you have already passed through the triple eclipse portal between the 5th of June and the 5th of July, and this prepared you for the Lion's Gate. So for all that work that we did over that time, you guys, we're going to be rewarded. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, something major is coming in a really good way. Nice. So this year, you begin the transit as when the sun moves into Leo, and as the sun rises conjunct with the blue star Sirius and the dawn sky in the northern hemisphere. The 25th July, the day out of time, allows you to let go and release the past year's time spiral and to make space to activate the new time spiral. Be mindful on the 25th and release what you do not want to take with you into the next galactic cycle. Then on the 26th, you will be ready to set intentions for the next cycle of life and evolution, both for yourself and for the planet. It's so interesting because no matter how many times like my ex-partner and I keep trying to like have space, somehow we keep being pulled together. And I also just realized that same day that I did that reading for her, later that day, Edward and I went up to the mountain and I played on the mountain in the streams with the fairies and Gaia. And I love how I didn't even realize. So what were you doing? I'd be interested. Tell me below. What were you doing last weekend, the 25th, the 26th? And if you're watching this a month from now, 5 years from now, whatever, if this is all still here, then let me know. I'm curious. I always love to know. Like, what were you doing? And then would you look back on now and go, oh, that was really cool. That we didn't even realize that we were celebrating the new year, right? I love that. Okay. We ask you to be aware that this will nevertheless be a powerful transit, not least because Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto are gathering in retrograde in the 10th house of Capricorn, while on the 8/8, which is the apex of the gate period, the Moon and Mars will be in Aries. This suggests, beloved ones, that the current collective energies of dis-ease and dissension will continue as old energies are released, and the emotions and responses of people continue to be aggressive and confrontational. Those who are wise will use this energy to stand in their power in a firm yet gentle way and to be creative, even if the energy is unstable at times. You can be sure, dearest ones, that these difficult energies will continue at least until the end of the year. So resolve to find your inner peace and stability to support your path forward. Your heart is the center of peace and light. This is like the next section. Beloved ones, it is only within your sacred heart that you will find a space of peace and balance. There is so much in your outer reality that is chaotic and out of balance. This flow of chaos is the result of the collapse of the structures or containers that held the old ways in places for so long. As they collapse, the energy they contain is released into a powerful and turbulent flow of chaos. The other thing Spirit wants me to bring up is one of the meditations I'm putting below is let me see if I can find it, because I want to say the right. I know it's nearby. That's why I'm grabbing it. It's something with the ascension. Oh, it's the Unseen Friends transmission. Highly, highly, highly recommend you do that. It's about 40 minutes long. Do it before you go to bed. Do it, when you have an hour to spare to like kind of ground yourself and get into the meditation, and then have time after to kind of like breathe it out. But I always say to people, everybody has 40 minutes at the end of the day, because all you have to do is put it next to you and listen to it as you're going to sleep. Because even if you go to sleep, your subconscious is still going to retain the information. Your body's going to know what to do. And if you're giving the order permission, the light worker permission to accept the healing and the transmission, it's going to be done for you. You don't have to do anything. I will say this though, while I was going through it, my whole body, because it's presented by the 8-pointed star, and for each point on the star, he goes through different groups of unseen friends. It's so powerful. On the ancestor, you guys, I think it was the 4-point on the star, I started bawling my eyes out. Like I was bawling. I was seeing my ancestors. I was really seeing what was happening. And even this morning, I was like kind of called to watch this one thing that I would normally never watch, and I was like, why am I doing this? But then as now I know why, like, because they were talking about their family and the lineage, and like, when does it stop? When do we stop? Like, when do we say enough is enough? When do we say, okay, I deserve better. My family deserves better. We need to shift this now. This is a sensitive time for a lot of us, because even though we're awakened, it's like we still have so much more to learn, and so much more to download, and so much more to go through. So we're all going to process it differently as well. So the 8-8 portal is something that it's for all of us, right? But depending on where you are when the portal happens, it's kind of like whatever you're refusing to release and let go, you're going to go. That's what they're kind of saying, like you're going to go through another cycle of it. But it's like I got that one, and then when they talked about, that's what I got from the ancestors in the 8-8 portal, right? And they just said that they're like, this is your time to like, release those things and genuinely like give them to, it's funny, so many people resist these Steve Noble meditations that I send them, and then when they watch them or they experience, they're like, why did I take so long to like listen to his stuff? I'm like, I get it. I'm like, I did it too. But the transmissions are really powerful. But when I got to working with like the galactic councils and like working with the unseen friends or whatever, I really, like, my whole body was like shaking and shivering, and there was all these things that were happening, and I could feel like, it's like each time I just feel like I'm just like that egg that's cracked, and like one more piece falls off and one more piece falls off, right? And then even when I feel like I'm down to it, right, like I've gotten to, and I'm like, I'm done, I'm good, I'm good, it's like some new egg appears, and I gotta tackle that egg, right? And I gotta get to that, and and for some of us, it's not, don't go, Spirit wants me to say, like, don't go searching for something that's not there. Some of us dealt with things in our past lives, and we are working through them here, and we feel good, we feel grounded, and because some of us had really great childhoods, really great parents, and they're like, the only thing I've been dealing with is my past life stuff, but otherwise I feel really good. And when I work with them and talk to them, I'm like, you are, like, don't question it. It's almost as if people feel like they need to be more fucked up. And I'm like, no, be grateful that you're exactly where you are. Like for myself personally, I know that I'm going through multiple layers, because in this incarnation as a human, I've really taken on my lineage, and my lineage is like no joke. I mean, it is like every addiction you can think of. Seriously, almost every abnormality you can think of in terms of like our growth and things that like block us and stop us from, really revealing our true selves, things that have been programmed into us so deeply, into our DNA, into our soul DNA, into our physical blood and bone DNA. I've been talking about this a lot because I've been reading all these different studies that a lot of science, the scientists in the spiritual world, they've kind of kept us at odds for a long time. And now over the last century, but definitely over the last decade, we are becoming like, oh, I just got the chills. Did you? My whole body's a chill. We are really, it's really symbiotic. And it's like we're coming together in this like harmony where we're like, yeah, that makes sense, because science is really just the stars, the body, the earth, right? And then spiritual are people who experience these things as well, but they're a little more connected to like the energy that's like all around us, where some scientists actually want to have tangible, they like to work tangibly with the earth, with the sky, with the, and even so, it's like, even so, those who have gone out to outer space, it's like, but they're still not like touching it, right? Like, because they have to be protected. It's just a really interesting thing. So for myself, as I was going through, and will probably continue to go through the dark night of the soul, as they call it, I think some people talk about it as if it's only going to happen one time. I'm like, no, I think we go through several different, like, chapters of the dark night of the soul. And we need to be able to, like, have this experience, because, we don't want to be flatlined in the middle. But we also can't be so flighty, like up in the stars and up in our spiritual, like la 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 la, or so low and depressed that we're like suicidal. You know what I mean? It's like, it's the culmination. It's the balance of everything. And I feel like with this full moon and just everything that I've been reading, watching, experiencing myself this past week, I had like 24 hours where I had no phone, no internet, and I actually could have remedied it almost instantly. I could have used my landlord's phone. I could have, but I heard no. And Spirit was like, put their foot down, and they were like, no. And they reminded me, they're like, what happened to you going off the grid? Like, what happened to you? Because even though like I'm doing my own thing, I still have been checking my phone every day, and checking the internet, and just because things have been moving so quickly, and I just wasn't feeling comfortable not knowing what was going on. But that's what Spirit wanted me to not be comfortable, because change is uncomfortable. Even if it's exciting, it's uncomfortable, right? For instance, you're someone who's going away for the first time, whether it's summer camp or to grandma's house or to college or whatever. You're going away, and you're going to be away for, maybe 2 months, a year, several years, whatever. Even though you may be excited about the journey, you may be excited about the adventure, and it's something that you've like wanted, and you're like, yay, 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 yay. All of a sudden it dawns on you, right? Your bags are packed, the car is packed, you're ready to go. And then all of a sudden you turn around and you're like, wait a second. When am I going to be here again? Oh, I miss my comfy bed. Am I going to miss my, you know what I mean? That's very natural. That's a human emotion. So it's kind of the same thing with what's happening right now. It's emotional baggage. So however we want to deal with the emotional baggage, that is really up to the individual, right? Michael told me to continue reading. He has more messages for us. While chaos is always a creative energy, seeding new ideas and new ways of being, it can be exhausting to be continually swept up in the maelstrom of energy and emotion, right? It's exhausting. It's tiring. Within this cauldron, many people are fixating on ideas and ways of thinking that seem to explain things for them. They have difficulty in letting go of the idea of narratives within narratives, and their busy minds keep hopping from one rabbit hole to the next. To be a master of energy right now is to be outside of the narratives, right? To be the observer. I didn't read this whole thing. I wanted to, because I'm such that student where I want to like read things and be prepared, but Spirit will be like, no, like, because we're doing this together, right? We're a tribe. So it's like I'm downloading, but at the same time, it's like, it's my message too. I'm part of the tribe, right? This is really, if you even understood the conversations I had with like the spirit realm this morning, it's like, this is so spot on. Wow. Okay. So Within this cauldron, many people are fixating on ideas and ways of thinking that seem to explain things for them. They have difficulty in letting go of the idea of narratives within narratives, and their busy minds keep hopping from one rabbit hole to the next. To be a master of energy right now is to be outside of the narratives and simply within that place of infinite quiet and peace that is the temple of the heart. Beloved masters, as you meditate and go into silence, you access the diamond light body and draw the diamond light particles and codes into your heart. There you can balance heaven and earth, masculine and feminine, in the one spiral off crystalline light that is the conscious of one. Again, yes, the crystalline grid that's in the earth. One of the other things that came through in this meditation of the unseen friends was the inner worlds. Like the inner worlds have been calling to me like no other. In my download this morning, I've been asking Spirit for a long time to only kind of give me each day by day, and that's been great, and it's been working for me while I've been healing. But at the same time, I'm feeling this physical, like it's almost as if my higher self is like making my body like long for the answers, like making my brain long for the answers, because I need to know exactly where I'm going soon, because I've been feeling like this for quite some time, that I was going to be going on a journey, but I wasn't exactly sure. And then this morning in meditation, Spirit gave me some amazing insight. I don't know exactly how it's going to go down, but I promise to let you know as soon as I know. But I know I'm going on a journey of some kind, and I'm definitely leaving Washington. I don't know if it's temporary. I don't know if it's permanently. I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen, but something big's coming down the line. So the more you can rest in this consciousness of one, the more you will move into the present, the now, and the more easily you will transit through this Lion's Gate on on August 8th. So that's exactly what I've been trying to like convey. Oh, they said to drink some water. All of us drink some water. What time is it? Okay, we're about a half hour in. Because what happens is we're confusing like our muggle mind and our current incarnation. It's like our muggle mind keeps bringing us back to, I'm straight channeling by the way, our muggle mind brings us back to these moments, our childhood, or and we retrieve some of our soul, right? We go in for soul retrieval. So while we're doing these meditations, it's okay to do it. But Spirit is asking that when we're not in meditation or when we're not working with Spirit, that if our mind goes to a place of abuse or trouble or scarcity or any type of programming that's from our ancestors, our parents, our siblings, whatever, or teachers, it doesn't matter. Wherever this programming is coming from, Spirit is saying when we're not in meditation and when we are, like, say we're at the grocery store or we're, whatever, they're saying it's easy to start getting wrapped up in that energy and thinking that that's our own and that's good for us, when they're saying no. They if you go into that when you're not in meditation, observe it, take no emotion, act as if it didn't happen to you, be the observer of it, and try and pinpoint what you can pull out of it. For instance, yesterday I had a situation where Edward came over to, watch some shows and hang out and stuff. We're rebuilding our friendship, which has been really, really cool. We're not expecting anything, but we have been talking about, like, what happened with our relationship, and it's just been a really cool thing. And so yesterday we were talking about the past. We were talking about our parents and talking about like how things can be damaging or, etc. And I realized, I said, that rabbit hole that they speak of is so easy to fall down, because first you have the memory, right? And then say the memory will bring you even further, because it's not just the visual. Say it's something that happened at a family's house. So you're at the family's house and, maybe it's a gathering, maybe it's Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever you celebrate. And it's some big gathering and all your family is there together and you're there, right? So first you're remembering that party, that situation, that time. Then, maybe you're remembering how old you were. Then maybe you're remembering something that happened. But with each thing, each one goes into your different parts of your cells, right? different part of your soul memory, your human memory. It doesn't matter. It's just like it's like downloading, right? It's like, or I should say you're re-accessing a download of things that have happened to you. But then you remember music, you remember food, and all of these things, these triggers, can easily keep you swept down that rabbit hole. But instead, Spirit is really pushing for us to like pull back and look at the whole situation. And yesterday I really understood it. And Edward and I were, exchanging, stories or things that we've been through recently, or things that we've had, breakthroughs about our family or even about our relationship. Really powerful. And then I started to get that download where I realized, I'm like, because when somebody's telling you a memory and they're going into like the most minute detail about something, that's really powerful, right? Because it's like, some people are like, I can't remember what happened last week. But if you remember something that happened and you were like 8 years old, let's just say, but you remember it that vividly, but you can't remember like exactly like maybe you don't remember what was playing on the radio when you're in the grocery store even that day. But you remember that, right? It's like, obviously there's a lot of things in there. So each thing, each part of that memory needs release. I've been having that with music lately, because most of you know, like, music is my therapy and one of my favorite things in the world. However, lately, these songs that have been playing, like, for instance, I have this friend that was my childhood friend, and we're not talking right now, and I don't know if we ever will again, but I know for now we're not meant to be in each other's lives, and I'm okay with that. It's like, they need what they need, I need what I need. And it was really wild because I have my Pandora on shuffle all the time. And this song came on by their favorite band. And all of a sudden I realized, I'm like, oh my God, it's their birthday. And I realized it was their birthday. And I literally I couldn't even tell you the last time I heard that band on my Pandora. I mean, several months, maybe a year, maybe longer. But it was my favorite song by that band. It was my favorite band too for years, but like it was their favorite like go-to band. Like, saw them in concert millions of times, not millions, but you know what I mean? Like, it was just so interesting to me. And then Spirit said, listen to the words. And then I listened to the words to the song and I was like, wow. And it's just like, I felt like I saw my friendship with them differently. I saw everything differently. And also I realized that this band, that was my actually favorite band for years before I ever even knew it was their favorite band. It was my favorite band for many years. I can't even tell you like how much I practiced to this band, like, for singing and stuff. But I realized, I was like, every time I've heard that band, I would think of them. Not in a bad way, but just like, oh, I wonder what they're doing, or, oh, that's weird. And then I thought to myself, but why, when did I associate them with that band? That was one of my favorite bands for years. Why wouldn't I have my own memories? And then I realized that's right, because that song is one of my favorite songs by them, but I have a different reason why it's my favorite song, right? And it's just these mental and emotional attachments that we have to things. And it's like, what are we going to do? Turn off the world? I personally believe in magic. And I believe that every time, even when I'm in the grocery store or wherever, if a song plays, I'm like, I'll get a download of some kind. And so Spirit wants us to, instead of having these like knee-jerk reactions to a scent, a color, an image, a song, whatever it is, instead of having that knee-jerk reaction that, even if it's a positive one, looking back and just being the observer of it. And maybe, just maybe, looking at it from a different vantage point too, right? So like, maybe like, that's the memory you have of that song now. Like, maybe you're meditating and you have your phone on shuffle and like this beautiful aria comes on and you're like, oh, I love this, and it's like, now you remember this beautiful moment in your meditation. Do you hear what I'm saying? That was really powerful. They wanted me to say all that. So, okay. So here we go. The search for sacred wisdom. Sophia and the feminine divine light. By the way, I feel like my body's like on fire. I'm so hot right now. I don't know if you could see, like, I'm getting flush. It's crazy. It's like it came out of nowhere too. It's weird. In this golden age that is arising, you will be led forward by the power of the divine feminine energy of Sophia. In Gnostic tradition, she is the hidden wisdom of the feminine aspect of the divine. Sophia is the veiled divinity who is always hidden. She cannot be found in the outer reality, but only by going deep within and coming to know yourself. It is here that you will encounter your hidden mastery and power. It is here that you will confront chaos and learn how to be the wing of the butterfly that shapes destiny within the chaos. Have you ever heard of the butterfly effect? Look it up. But basically, it's like saying that every, one thing affects another thing that affects another thing that affects another thing, right? So that's why they always say, like, in movies, TV shows, or even, I'm sure people who do time travel, it's like, you don't want to fuck with the space-time continuum. I had a friend, I've spoke about this before, I had a friend that I visited a few years ago when I was back home in Chicago, and they were dead serious, and they're like, I think something happened. I think we went down some wormhole or something. He's like, it's different. Things are different. And I was like, no, I get it. I was like convinced, I totally believe them, because I said, no, I'm like, I know this one actor died. I remember, like, it happened like 4 or 5 years ago. I'm like, and I just saw something that said that this actor died. And I'm like, or that the actor was still alive. And I was like, I'm not crazy. I'm like, I know that happened. It was Jeremy Irons. I was like, that's nuts. And he was sick for a long time, but I was like, I totally saw what they saw, because I was like, no, I remember, it's like, there's just something's been going on. And so that's the butterfly effect. If you go back in time, you have to leave everything exactly the way it is, because if you change one thing that you think isn't a big deal, all I did was like, okay, let's focus on this crystal ball right now, right? So this is the way it looks. But say I go back in time and I switch it that way. It may not seem like a big deal to some people, but it will be to others, because other people are going to see into this crystal ball. Other people are going to see different things, different images, right? Like, we're all going to have our own take on, like, what we see and what we experience. So this was all predestined, and we did this together. We're all a collective. We are one. Do you understand? So it's like, we can't change it. All we can do is move forward and, do our best to do whatever it is we were brought here to do. Okay. I don't know why they had me go into all that. It was like really heavy. Sophia is the veil. Did we say that? Yes. The deep instinctual wisdom of Sophia will aid you to become the rising archetype for the next cycle of experience, the world dancer. The world dancer is the feminine power of Sophia in her form of Shakti, who dances and shapes reality in her steps. No matter how powerful the storms, she dances with absolute grace and skill. Her story arises not from words, but from her graceful movement through time and space within many dimensions. You will feel her dance as she creates a path of beauty and love that is beyond words and exists in the higher dimensions of consciousness, and which is anchored in the fifth dimensional new earth by you as the master dancers of the new reality. So get this. So when I was doing this Unseen Friends transmission that's below, the link's below by Steve Noble, when they started talking about the inner earth, you guys, I saw this, I like, because I was, my eyes were closed, I was in a meditation, right? But in my third eye, I saw this vibrational energy that's going to be coming from the inner earth. And I also realized, like, I know people talk about it, but you guys, there really is, like, if you look at like the planet, like from outer space per se, and if you look at us, like, just living, I know that there's the atmosphere, and then there's like the top of the earth, so to speak, right? The earth that, like, my feet are on right now. Well, I'm a big camper, but you get it, right? So I started to see these images. I've been seeing them for a long time, but like today was like so different. I really like saw like these worlds that are going on underneath us, and this is like the hell, right? Like, not the hell, but I'm saying, like, in I'm sorry, my spirit guides are like, they're like, clarify that for everybody, meaning like when people talk about, is earth, how I always say earth is a training ground, right? It is, but it's topical earth. The downloads I was getting is like this kind of like topical earth energy is kind of like Hades, like this like limbo, right? Because there's just as much good as evil, and they both coexist at the same time. So if you take the point out that, like, I'm a cell, you're a cell, and the creator is like this being, and we're all like these little cells, and we're this collective of like this being, right? But it's a cell within a cell within a cell within a cell, with like when Horton hears a who, right? So I started to understand that, like, we can only go so far into the earth in certain spots, because there are these worlds that are like in the middle of earth. So say earth is like, it's over there. I'm like, should I go get it? I'm like, I'm going to go get it because it's the only thing I have that's spherical. And I have a little hole in the back of my pants. I hope you didn't see it, but these are like my most comfy. They're like almost see-through. It's just too hot for me to wear anything else. Okay. Okay, so getting back. I can't pause on here. So like, say this is Earth, right? So it's like we live on this outer surface, but on the inside, there are portals that go to inner Earth. Like some people say Mount Shasta, is one of them. They're all over the world. They're all over the world. They're underwater, they're above water, they're all over the world. But there's a reason why we can only dig so deep. Because, and that's a whole other thing. And I feel like this is just what I downloaded today. So whatever you believe is what you believe. But I started to see like what Spirit was trying to show me was that there is this energy. I feel like this wants to be here. Maybe what's funny is I noticed that there was something that, or did you notice like there was like 4, and I'm the person that likes to do the uneven. I used to work at a flower shop, and the first thing I learned when you do a flower arrangement is the best arrangements are always uneven numbers. You don't want 4 roses, you want 5. It just gives like this kind of rounded. So anyway, now I know why. I'm like, I needed like, now there's 5. Anyway. So I started to get this like image of it and like what was happening, and it's almost like we're like an accordion, because it's like we have the outer, like when we look to the stars and the planets and all that, we've got our galactic family that's like out there, like looking out for us from above, and then we've got these inner, like these like elvish like energies, entities. He was calling it the Davis, right? That's why I titled this one thing recently. I just talked about nature, the eagle. I posted it anyway, you'll see it if you go on my page. But I started to understand like what they were saying, and it's like this energy is going to be coming up. It's already coming up. Like it's already coming up from the inside of the planet, and then like from the like outer realms, it's like coming down. And it's like, but to play an accordion, you have to like kind of like breathe in and out. An accordion has to breathe in and out, just like our lungs, right? And I feel like that's what's happening right now. It's like this compression that we're getting, this accordion energy that's really gentle, as if we're getting, the energy from the top and then like the energy from the bottom. It's like, but they're letting us breathe through the darkness. They're letting us breathe through the shadow. They're letting us, deal with this dark night of the soul so that we can release all this programming, all this ancestral trauma that's been going on for centuries through our lineages, right? So it's just something I want you guys to keep in mind while all this is happening, is that we're not alone, and they have our back. Like, there's no way that, we are just like, they were like, here you are, starseeds, you're all born here, and now like, I remember hearing that term in the 70s. There's so many terms that I remember hearing when I was a kid, but because I was raised in a very, very repressed right-wing Republican Christian background, like because I was raised that way, even though I believed in those other things, it's in my book that I'm writing, even though I believe in those things, or believed in a lot of the things that I'm talking about, I was just told so often that I was crazy and like programmed to believe that like I didn't know what I was doing, or I didn't know what I was talking about. And that shit really gets to you, and you're like, oh yeah, I guess I am the crazy one. It's like, you're not the crazy one. There's no such thing as like the crazy one, right? I feel like the only people who would technically be crazy are people who are trapped inside of themselves, like they're trapped inside their mind. That's another reason why Spirit wants us to be the observer right now, because we're in a really emotional time right now. It's very volatile, and so going inward is really where we need to be, instead of like going outward into the world. I can't tell you, this last week, those of you who know me personally know I do not like being hot. I enjoy the sun. I enjoy, thank you, Ra. You know what I mean? Like, I enjoy like the summer and stuff, but anything over 90 degrees is just unacceptable for like, I just can't handle it. I feel like I'm going to go mad. And so 3 days the last week, it was, the whole week was between like 85 and 110. But like 4 or 5 out of those days in the week, it was between 90 and 110. So it got so hot here and I was so miserable. I couldn't even do spirit work. I couldn't, but it was awesome because it felt like, like in winter when you're stuck. And if you guys know, some time ago, I think it was 2 winters ago, where Big Camper, I lost electricity and my boss was gone. My boss, ooh, interesting Freudian slip. Ooh, that's interesting. I feel like that's something I need to work on. My landlord used to take these shifts that were like 24 hours long. She's a CNA. And so it was like one of those times where like Ed wasn't here, she wasn't here. I don't know where Ed was or what was going on, but I was like stuck with no electricity, no heat, nothing. It was horrible. No light. I had to only go by candlelight. I had like candles going all over the house trying to keep warm. And it was kind of similar to what I went through the other day when my phone shut down. And it was hot and it was miserable. And all I could do was just like be with spirit. I had no music. I was like coloring and like just like, it was just really wild. I ended up recording a bunch of different shows that like spirit ended up having me like, or like I was having like these real talk things and like kind of talking through it. But then I ended up deleting them because they were really just for me. It was like my therapy with spirit. But, I just remember like feeling a little crazy after that. And I did a video afterwards and just saying to everybody, man, we really take for granted. I think it went on for like 9 or 12 hours. I think it was 9 hours that I like was okay. And then by like the last like 3 hours, I was like crying. I was upset. I was freezing. I was miserable. And then I was like screaming at spirit and I'm like, I'm gonna freeze in here. And I was just like, kind of a baby about it. Not a baby, but I was going through it, right? And it was like I screamed out into the universe, like, I get it, I got the lessons, whatever. And like minutes later the fucking power went on. I swear to you. I documented it somewhere. I don't know, at this point I have so many videos in my Instagram, I have no idea, but so allow yourself to go inward, allow yourself to work through this. And I'm with you. I'm feeling sadness. I miss my partner. Like, we've been so cool the last few days. We hung out and we had such a good time together. And I want to like make love to him. I want to like be with him. And I'm just like, why can't we like make this work, But even though I felt that way, I said to him at one point, I go, I know this is where we need to be. Like, I know that, but I don't want to lose my friendship with him either, because there's something really special there. And there's something that we're supposed to work on. Some people go with your gut, if you feel like you're meant to still be with them or work out things with them, or, maybe like with he and I, like we're broken up, but I don't know what's going to happen. We may or may not get back together. I don't know. But with your family and your friends, there's certain people in your life that are not good for you, that don't feel healthy, that like every time you're around them or every time you're near them, you feel bad about yourself. That's a whole different ball game. I don't feel bad about myself when I'm around him now, because I realized the only things that I was feeling bad about myself was he was just a big fucking mirror for me. Even though like, he did things that upset me, even though he did things that like most people would be like, I can't believe you'd ever talk to him again. I was like, it has nothing to do with me. And what was interesting? It took me watching some TV show where the guy, I don't remember exactly the story, but basically, the guy had said, he was asking him about the girlfriend. He's like, oh, we broke up or whatever. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, buddy. He's like, I'm sorry to hear that. And he's like, yeah, me too. And he's like, how's she doing? And he's like, the last I heard, she's back with so-and-so. And he's like, well, that's really sad. And he's like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, no, isn't that sad? He's like, you guys had something really special. He's like, but something inside of her is still craving that abuse. And he's like, you should feel sad for her. Pray for her. Like, basically he was saying like, not you should feel sad for her, but he was just like, you're looking at it like she cheated on you, she left you for this person. He's like, instead you need to look at it like, send her love and good energy, because somewhere deep down she doesn't think that she's good enough for you. She thinks that being with this person, this abuser, is what she deserves. Man, that was an eye-opener for me. And that's really the definition of not taking something personally, right? So when Edward and I like had we decided to go on a break, and, we said if we're going to see other people, it was fine, but just let the other person know. And I found out he started seeing somebody, but he didn't let me know. And I was really mad at him, and I was angry, and I lashed out at him, and I said horrible things. And but then when I started to think about it, and I, took some time for myself over the last month, over July, and working with other people one-on-one, and having those moments where you're like, wow, yeah, it's like he and I were talking about it, and he told me, like, they're not really talking anymore or whatever. And I don't know, it's none of my business, whatever. But I told him that, and he was saying to me that they were like someone he would have dated before. Like, they weren't at the same level of consciousness as him. And then I told him that story, and I said, I'm not saying that to be a dick to you, to say like, oh, I'm better than you, and look at you, went slumming with some, person that's beneath you and beneath me. But I said that to him. I'm like, but it is something you might want to reflect on. Like, why? Because my first instinct about them was negative and not good. And so I was like, he's as powerful as I am, if not more. And I'm like, how did you not feel that or sense that? But it was the ego thinking they can save them, or he was sexually attracted to this person. And so it was like, that goes out the window. But it's like, does it? We're not in that world anymore. We're not in that dimension anymore. So we can't keep going back to things that don't serve us. We can't keep going back to people, like that saying, you can't heal where you were hurt. So it's like we've been having these little mini hangouts, and it's been really cool because we're not talking about things, and then like somehow something will come up naturally, and I'll say, can we talk about this? Because like it's coming up naturally, and I feel like we're watching this, like there must be something here for us to learn, or something for us to, go over again with the fine-tooth comb kind of thing. And he was like, yeah. And so like now, like I don't know when I'll see him again, but I feel like just hanging out with them for those few days, I got so much clarity for myself. I know that like I could see when he did the eyebrow raise thing, like he was getting some aha moments too. So just keep yourself open, over this 8/8 portal. I'm working with Spirit right now on, I feel like there's something I want to do, like a live, interactive event. So it's either coming in the next few months, or it's going to happen next Saturday. I'll let you guys know as soon as I know. But I'm going to finish reading this, and then I'm going to wrap it up. I was going to do a reading, but I think I'm going to do a separate pick-a-pile. I'm being called to do a separate pick-a-pile. Okay. So, the world dancer is the feminine power of Sophia in her form of Shakti, who dances and shapes reality in her steps. No matter how powerful the storms, she dances with absolute grace and skill. Her story arises not from words, but from her graceful movement through time and space within many dimensions. I know I read it, they're having me read it again. You will feel her dance as she creates a path of beauty and love that is beyond words and exists in the higher dimensions of consciousness, and which is honored in the fifth dimensional new earth by you as master dancers of the new reality. It's like they wanted me to read it and then say what I just said and then read it again. And the royal lions are here. Always present at the lion's gate are the powerful and regal beings who are the guardians of the 8/8 portal and teachers of the high wisdom of Sirius and Regulus, Alpha Leonis. As the sun advances through Leo towards Virgo/Regulus, the very high frequency blue-white light of Regulus accelerates the diamantine time crystals and creates the conditions for each soul to accelerate their timeline and begin a new cycle. At the other side of the Lion's Gate and at a higher frequency of consciousness. This can only be achieved by a meditative focus on the Lion's Gate transit and by not being distracted into lower frequencies at this crucial time. Yes, like not feeding into it. Not feeding into that stuff around you, but like in staying off of social media, staying off of the internet and like the news and things that aren't healthy for you. The royal lions will walk with you and work with you to assist you to stay on purpose and achieve such mastery. But as we have said, you can only achieve this if you are balanced in your heart and your inner wisdom, and you have the skill to dance within the new frequencies and absolute mastery. This means that your time cannot be taken up in duality and conflict, which will slow you down and cause you to lose your rhythm and flow. Yeah, the duality conflict is, ooh, my screen just froze. Oh, did you see that? Oh, that was crazy. I love when that happens. So, that's interesting because I just had like a huge breakthrough. This means that your time cannot be taken up in duality and conflict, meaning like the duality, like don't entangle yourself with the 3D energy that you don't live in anymore. Don't go to places that you're going to have conversations with people that aren't in the same place that you are. You know, I had that happen to me over the weekend with somebody where I realized, I'm like, wow, I knew we weren't on the same page in some things, but I'm like, wow, we are really not on the same page on most things. And I realized, I'm like, you know what, I need to start limiting my interaction with that person. And it sucks, but it just means that you're just at different levels of consciousness. Again, not better, not worse, not higher or above. There's no ego here. It's just soul knowledge. And once we know that, it's like they're saying, don't dance with the devil. Don't go and dance with the devil. Don't go dance with the darkness. Don't go dance with your addictions. You know, the addictions, if you're working through them, I know every single day I take breath on this planet, I have been working with something, right? Trying to work through these addictions. So that's okay, right? It's okay to like stay in the present moment while we're fixing it, but don't get caught up in like, maybe like so-and-so likes to go to a certain place, or likes to, wants to come over and hang out with you, but they want to gossip about somebody or whatever. And normally you guys would like have your wine and your little coffee clutch, whatever it is, and like, and you're like, oh, we're not really talking about them. And they're saying, yeah, you need to start getting real about like who you are and who you are spending your time with, who you are exchanging your energy with, and who you are putting it out into the universe with. A lot of I had a public Instagram for a very long time, and it was only in the last few months that Spirit was like, no, reel it in. And even so, I got a download from Spirit the other day that I need to go through my Instagram again and block people. It was almost as if, I had over 1,000, people, and then it was like, then I dwindled down to like 300, and then it was like 2 something, and now I think it's like 282 was the last time I looked. And I've been noticing like here and there people are, and even some people that I was like friends with on there, I would say to Spirit, I'm like, why? Like, I don't understand, like I don't really even know them or whatever. But they were like, no, but you forget that like you're a teacher for other people. So, but it was almost kind of like giving them one more like turn to like see, whatever, or maybe I'm not the right light worker for them, and so they're going to someone else, whatever. Yeah, I don't take it personally. But I realized I have to go through with my pendulum again and block people, because I have been feeling like this kind of like negative energy on my page, and I don't like that. And I don't want to feel that. I can only push back so far, but right now it's like I've got my own stuff to deal with, and then I've got you guys, and obviously you're subscribing or whatever, we're clients, we work together or whatever. So they just wanted me to say that because that's like really important. So go through your social media with a fine-tooth comb, and use your pendulum. But if you look at someone's whatever, their picture, their profile, and like you get a sinking feeling, unfollow. I don't care if it's family, I don't care if it's friends. I mean, I remember, a few people were like, I saw you unfollowed me. Like, they came at me, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, that is exactly why. The fact that you'd come at me. I mean, they could just as easily be like, hey, what happened? Like, I thought, but if you're coming at me with force, I'm like, yeah, I think there's a reason why we're not supposed to be in the same energy field, because you're like coming at me like, it's like, that's your shit. Like, what are you feeling, right? So don't let other people's stuff influence you. Okay. This means that your time cannot be taken up in duality and conflict, which will slow you down and cause you to lose your rhythm and flow. Yeah, right? It's like a stop, start, stop, start, stop, start. It's hard to keep you in the rhythm of things, right? Like, as much as I'd want Ed to stay here, I know he has to go. I want him to go. I have to work on stuff. But at the same time, when he was here, it was both things. It was hard in some ways, but it was also great lessons and teachings that I needed and he needed. But also we got to like watch fun stuff and, have fun foods and, celebrate, the first harvest yesterday, August 1st, So it's really about getting like pinpointing it. They're really getting serious about it. In this period, you must have clear intention and clear focus as to what you will create through your dance of diamond light into the new earth. Also, over this full moon energy, what do you need to release? What do you need to release? Do you need to write it on paper and burn it somewhere safely? And say a prayer like, thank it and set it free. What do you need to do? Do you need to go into some type of, meditation to release something? Do you need to do a cord cutting? Whatever you need to do. But over this new moon, over this full moon and until the new moon, because, it's like we're having the full moon this weekend, and then next weekend's the Lionsgate portal, and then the following, the new moon will be, I haven't looked on my calendar, but it's according to this, the new moon will be the 18th, which is really powerful, right? Because yesterday was the 1st, today's the 2nd, and then it's the 8th, and then the 18th, and it's like 1 before 8, which is also the number 9. So yeah, so here we are. So we've got the full moon now. We've got the Lion's Gate next Saturday, and then 2 weeks from Tuesday will be the new moon. Okay. Chaos there may be, beloved ones, but you are learning the inner wisdom to ride the waves and create harmonic patterns of light, love, and joy. Do not allow yourself to be distracted or to fall in frequency. Be mindful of those who are here to support you, your soul families and tribes and physical incarnation, as well as your angelic and galactic families of light. They will not allow you to fail. They will not allow you to fall. They will hold you in their love, beloved masters. We wish you joy and creation at this Lion's Gate 2020. So this is from starchildglobal.com. I'll put the link below. So thank you to all of these sources. To also the we did the full moon, the old farmers almanac, and then also to Steve Noble for those transmissions, and to the altar something, I'll put it below. That was from the ancestor transmission, or the 10-minute one I was telling you about, the one that I was seeing. It's so trippy, you guys. Like, you have to watch it, especially the snake charmers on there. I was like, that was like blowing my mind. That was blowing my mind. And that's what I realized. I'm like, I need some like good indigenous medicine. Like, I'm ready for some good indigenous medicine. All right, let me see. I'm going to ask Spirit if there's anything else that they'd like to say before we go. Is there anything else, Spirit, that you'd like me to say? Would you like me to pull any cards for this? Okay. So are we done with this session as of right now for this full moon? Yeah, I wouldn't even call it a forecast, because I feel like it's just information. It's just information. And I don't know what's coming. I only know, I should say, I feel what's coming. I feel a great change. I believe that this 8-8 portal, even though some people believe that last year's 8-8 portal was like the biggest one, you know, I think they're all big in just different ways, right? But this one is really profound, because we all just went through this huge transformational energy with the retrogrades and the eclipses. That was really powerful. And even now, today, it's like, you know, we're in this full moon energy. There's just so much that's happening that I feel like just breathe through it and be the observer, you know, and be in the mindful madness, right? Like, so when your mind's like going in this crazy and you're like going off and whatever, Spirit just wants to remind you to be the observer. And I think that's it. Let me see if there's any more transmissions. They said, nope, thank you, we love you. Thank you, we love you. So I want to thank your spirit guides, my spirit guides. I want to thank all of those who are here today. I mean, all of our teams in spirit, the ancestors, our beloved creator, the gods and goddesses, the spirit animals, our spirit guides, everything. I just want to say thank you to all of them for being here today, and thank you to you for being a part of this tribe, and for just being here, for just being alive right now. Spirit just wants to say thank you for being here and being alive, and letting you know that you are not alone. That's why I started this tribe, you know. That's why this all came to be the way it was, so that people knew that they could be who they were with me 100%, no matter what it was. Because even if someone, like I said, I had this person, I didn't even realize this one aspect of their belief system, and it kind of threw me for a loop, because I did not think that they felt that way, and I was just like, wow, that's really powerful. And I started to judge it, and then I realized Spirit was saying to me, you don't have to be around them, but you can still love them unconditionally. You do not have to be around them, you just have to love them unconditionally. And that's our mantra. We don't have to be around them, we can just send them love. And it's not that like, I send you love and light, but like you're in the background, you're like, you know, wishing their demise. It's like, no, genuinely saying that we unconditionally love everybody, right? Like, even those that we feel are dark or evil or whatever, the evil doers. I remember I used to hear George Bush Jr. Used to say that, you know, like after September 11th, he was like, you're either for us or against us kind of thing. And I think that this kind of separatist mentality is what has gotten us to where we are today. So I know it's going to take a long time, and we may never be all inclusive of our thinking, obviously, right? But at the same time, we can still love and respect somebody for their beliefs, even if it is way far removed from ours. All right, that's it, you guys. I love you so much. Have a blessed month of August. Happy birthday, Leo and Virgo. And I'll see you at the pick-a-pile. And I don't know which is gonna post first. If the pick-a-pile's not here yet, it just means that it hasn't uploaded yet. So when it does, I'll put it here. But otherwise, everything else will be below. And I highly recommend that you do that you look into all of the things that I put below, you know, just to give you a little more insight. But definitely the Unseen Friends transmission from Steve Noble, the one that's 40 minutes long, and the other one that I spoke of. What did I say it was called? Hold on. I want to get it right. No, it was the Unseen Friends. You're right. And then, what's this one? I know, when I see it, I'll know. The Allwoods, ALWOODS, We Are Modern Shamans by Altar Records. And it's altar, like ALTAR, like an altar records. That was the one that's like 10 minutes long that I said that like blew my fucking mind. That it's like crazy shit. And it's like, watch it, don't watch it. Just listen to it, whatever you're drawn to. But those two, for sure, I really hope you look into. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Love you guys. Blessed be. Ow.